Hello and welcome back to the fifth week of my sketch and chat videos. I'm super excited that I've been able to do these videos this many weeks in a row. I don't know how many of these I will do in total. I definitely want to get to 10, and I think I did the math the other day, and if I do 10, that will take me right up to the end of 2019, which would be, I feel like that would be a really nice place to end. I definitely don't want to stop doing videos like these. They're a lot of fun. I really enjoy having something to work on each week and being able to record it for YouTube, edit it, and talk to you guys. But I think when I start 2020, I might make the videos a little bit shorter. I wanted to make this series about 30 minutes a piece, and this video is actually a little bit shorter than that, so apologies. But for the most part, they've been around 30 to 35 minutes, and so I'm really happy that I was able to do that. I'm just thinking that when 2020 starts, it might be a little bit easier for me to do one video at first that's about 10 to 15 minutes long, and then what I would really love to be able to do at some point is do 2 videos a week at that length. So making the videos a little bit shorter would mean I could get more out to you, and maybe what I would do is have one video a week be more of a finished product and the other one be more of a sketch and chat, where I know that's what I'm calling this series is sketch and chat, but really where all I do is sketch. I don't make a finished illustration like I'm doing here. Anyways, if you have any ideas or any thoughts about any of that, please let me know. Comment down below. Anything. I'm super happy to hear anything you have to say. That was a lot of anythings in a row. So now I'm going to get started talking about this piece. So I knew for this week that what I wanted to do was I always do the whole spread, so 2 pages, but I wanted to have one page be really, really simple with one element in it, nothing detailed, and the other page was going to have a figure. I was pretty sure it was just going to be bust up, and I also knew that I wanted to work with the idea of I wanted to try and get that pink color I got again in the Crow Companion piece. I haven't been able to get it exactly right in my background colors, and so I worked with it here, and I think I was really close, but I think I went too dark, and that you'll eventually see is on the left-hand page. I didn't end up recording a lot of that page, and I think that's why this video is a lot shorter, and that is simply because it's so simple. I didn't think you all needed to see all of it. So I sketched out a bunch of ideas in my sketchbook first, and you can see when I'm sketching out the thumbnail, which is not the size of a thumbnail, I keep flipping back and forth to the other page. One of the things I really wanted to stress with this piece is I wanted to give her a heart-shaped face, and so I had that reference. I had looked at references of heart-shaped faces before now when I was doing my really, really rough thumbnailing, and then when I was moving into this bigger one, which would have color, I was just referencing my sketches. And so you can see me flip back and forth, and that's what I was doing. I try to work like this so that I use reference for idea making and getting things accurate, but then when I'm sketching the final thing, I'm not necessarily copying anymore. And I don't always do this, but sometimes it's nice just to help me escape that feeling that I need to have my piece look exactly like reference photos. So I'm really happy with her face shape in all of this all of the pieces, the sketch, the color comp, and the final illustration. They turned out really well. I did end up in the color comp making her skin lighter than I do in the final illustration, and I'm glad I went a little bit darker. I've done that a few times now, actually, where in my color comp I've made the skin light, and then when I've moved on to the finished illustration I've done it darker, and all of the times I've done it, whether it was on accident or a mental choice, I've liked it. So I'm glad I could keep up that trend for this time. I also really, really like how her final nose turned out. I know we're not even at that part in the video right now. We're still looking at me sketching and doing the color comp, but just so you guys know for later reference, I was really pleased with how her nose was looking. So the other thing I was working on with this piece was I wanted to get a lot of texture into it. And so I have this old oil painting brush that I don't use because I don't oil paint anymore. And so I kind of like roughed up the bristles so that it's a square brush, so it no longer looks like a square brush. It's really roughed up, and there's like flyaway bristles, and because they're so coarse, they're not at all like my watercolor brushes. They kind of stay however I put them, and so I used that. I roughed it up, and I dipped it just into like almost exactly, it was probably 90% paint and 10% water. There was barely any water in it. And I used that to dab around in different places to get some texture. I also at one point dipped it into my white ink to help get that texture in. And then I have this mop brush that I bought within the past 6 months because I used to use a mop brush when I painted with watercolors in high school. And I thought maybe I'd be wanting another one here when I'm working on trying to get big areas with washes and textures. But I ended up hating the mop brush that I bought, which was unfortunate, but I had spent this money on it, and it wasn't a ton of money, but I didn't want it to go to waste. So I've been hanging on to this mop brush, not using it, and for this project I finally figured out I could just dab it gently into, again, not very much water, mostly paint, and I could get larger areas of like more subtle texture, and I liked that a lot. And by the way, the reason why I didn't end up liking this mop brush when I was using it is because its bristles fall out a lot, and I hate when bristles fall out of brushes. It really, really annoys me, and it makes me feel like the brush isn't high quality even though I paid good money for it. So that was what I wasn't super proud about, but hey, I'm using it now and it's working out great. And so if you look at the painting, there's kind of these darker areas in the corner, and that's a lot of where the mop brush ended up being used for, to get that kind of bigger areas of texture. So also at one point, you're going to notice that when I go from the sketch in my sketchbook with the color comp that I'm currently working on, you can see, into my watercolor sketchbook, I add this crown element, and that is simply because I knew that I wanted to have the edges, what are those called? The vertical edges taped, but I didn't want the horizontal edges taped. But in my sketchbook where I was doing the color comp, I kind of forgot about that. And so when I sketched her again into my watercolor sketchbook, there was all of this extra room above and below her, and I also noticed that I accidentally put her too low on the page, and I didn't want to redo the sketch because I was very happy with it. So I did some thinking, and one of the things I came up with, which is what I went with, was I had made the leaf element on the page on the left, but I was connecting that to her necklace by having some more leaf motifs in the necklace. And so I thought it would be kind of cool to look up earth crowns, and I found these really cool ones all over Pinterest where people, mostly on Etsy, make wire crowns that have like earth elements in them. And so I referenced a bunch of those, and I came up with this crown idea that I had to sketch a few different times to get it exactly how I wanted to, but once I got it there, I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I ended up using my Micron pen. I believe it's called Burgundy. It's a gorgeous color. It's my favorite Micron pen. I wish I could use it all the time on everything that I work on because I love the color so much. I also ended up using this just a little bit on her skin, not much, but just some areas. I used my black Micron pens on her eyelashes, but it looks so nice when you don't necessarily have that black right up against skin and you use more of like a brown red color, and that's what I did. So right, I wanted to connect the motif more with her, especially because the backgrounds were going to be such different colors. Her skin kind of matches the leaf's background, but it felt disconnected to me. So one of the ideas I thought of was this crown, and I'm really glad I did because I think it's a nice little touch and it's something a little bit different than anything I've done before. So I appreciate having some variety and that it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. I was worried it wasn't going to turn out nicely or how I liked, but I do like it. I really, really like how I painted her skin. I'm definitely going to have to reference that again in the future because she just looks like she's sun-kissed, she's been outside, she's seen summer times, she's seen warm weather, and I like it. I think I gave her a few freckles and some rosier cheeks and shoulders, and I really like how it came out. I'm a little bit bummed because at one point I was using my heat gun to dry a spot that just wasn't drying right, and I did end up burning the page. You can't see it at all in the video. And when I ended up scanning this picture in, I edited it so that you can't tell in the scan because I'm hoping to make prints of her, at least the right side. I don't think I'll make prints of the left side because that ended up being too simple for my taste. But you can't tell anywhere except for in person. So a little bummed, but totally fixable. And this is something that I try to be careful with, but I accidentally burned this page, and then actually the piece that you're going to see next week, I burned a little bit too. So I don't know what's getting into me, but apparently I'm just all for burning pages on accident all of a sudden. Anyways, I had a lot of fun with this piece, and one of the really good benefits of me doing this was I finally went out and bought a watercolor palette, the little flower thing you can see on the side that I'm mixing paint in. I stopped using the egg crate basically. Well, it's sort of a lie. I still have the egg crate on my desk because it still has paint in it and I don't want that paint to go to waste. It's absolutely not a ton, but there's little bits in there, so every once in a while when I know I need a color that's in there, I just grab it from there instead of the tray, the mixing tray, the palette that I have the paint saved in. But soon the egg crate will be done and I'll be able to recycle it. And I don't know if you can recycle things with paint in them. I might have to wash it and then recycle it, but I'm not going to throw it out. I'll wash it and the dump can decide if they want to recycle it or not. That'll be on their hands. I will try to recycle it. But I'm really excited. This palette is a lot bigger than any little like flower dish I've used before. I have another one that's quite small. I ordered it online thinking it was going to be bigger, and it just came really, really small. And then I went to the store and bought a ceramic one time, and it was between those two sizes, and I like that one a lot, but I feel like I needed something even bigger. So when I went to the store, these ones were unfortunately plastic. They didn't have the big size in ceramic, but I got them for a really good price, and there are two of them. So that's exciting because in other news, in case you're not familiar with the first video in this series, let me really quickly catch you up. The reason this whole entire series started was I wanted to try out some handmade watercolors on Etsy, and so I bought this little tin. You can see it on the screen. It has 6 colors. I wanted to limit my palette so that I could really focus on other parts of the illustration instead of the color necessarily. Also, I felt like these 6 colors were really good for my personal illustrations. I felt like having, what I wanted was a color to help desaturate if I wanted it. So I went with a slate gray. I wanted a red. I wanted a navy color. I wanted a brown, an orange, and a blue. And so that's what I got, this little 6 palette, and they're all homemade on Etsy. The link is down below in the description if you want to check it out. But I've been really, really wanting to try watercolors that use honey in their mixture, and I know that the best way to know what's in your watercolors is to buy them handmade. Or, well, the best way is to make them yourself, but I don't have the skills or the time or the money to spend to do that. That would totally be a cool thing I'd want to do sometime in the future. But right now, that is not something I'm able to do. So I bought these watercolors on Etsy. I actually bought a few before this, not from the same shop, and I had really liked those, but I ended up picking colors I wasn't a huge fan of because at that time my brain was thinking I should expand my palette, whereas this time I was thinking, let's get colors I know I'll like and let's really use them up. So I have these 6 colors. They're great. I really like them. I really like the shop owner. I've messaged them a few times with questions and they've gotten back so quickly. They've been absolutely so helpful. Both times I've ordered from them, they've sent me a free watercolor gift, and they don't know that I'm doing this or that I'm talking about their shop, but anyways, this isn't an ad for them, so moving on. I knew I liked these paints, and I knew that when I was done with this palette, I would want another palette from them, and maybe doing something along the same lines where I'd get, basically I was thinking about colors that would help make skin tones, but also I could mix to get some other colors as well. And so when I was thinking about what my next palette would be, I knew I wanted to break out of that like red, brown, blue color scheme. And so I had just meant to be looking on their website on Etsy to see what options they had. And of course, I should have known that looking leads to buying, because I ended up buying 8 new colors. And, well, they sent a free one, so now I have a new palette with 9 colors. And when I had filmed this video, I still didn't have those paints. But as of right now, they have arrived. I don't plan on using them in the Sketch and Chat videos, but I was able to use them for something that I did not record because I was trying something new. I was trying to paint on wood, and I didn't know how that was going to turn out, so I didn't want to video it, but that is something you can look forward to in the future and a different video. So my new palette has some purples and blues and yellows, and it has 9 colors, so it's more than this limited 6 color palette, but I'm loving them. I'm loving both of my palettes a lot. I think there are about 2 colors too many in this palette, to be honest. Like, I have 2 yellows, I have a bronze, I have a dark brown, a dark black, a navy-ish purple color, a blue color, a pink, and a lighter purple. And I'm in love with about 5 or 6 of those colors, and I really like an extra one of those. So there's about 2 colors in here that I feel like are just kind of extra that might not get used as much, and that's unfortunate. But I do know that there are 3 colors in here that were made using natural resources. So one of them was made using red cabbage, one was made using dark rhubarb, and I'm pulling a total blank on which the third one was made with. But they're gorgeous, and I'm so happy I got my hands on them. I definitely love working this way. So all of that was to say that my second flower palette is being used to mix those colors. So it's already got a nice home and it's being used a lot, and I'm really glad I was able to do that. Well, it looks like once again we have not a ton left in the video. Thank you guys for watching. and I hope you stay until the end, because the next thing I'm going to briefly talk about is what I'm doing with my week. This is what I previously have been calling my recommendations of the week, but I am not making that mistake anymore. So what I am doing with my week, in case this is your first video, every one of these sketch and chats, I try to end the last 5 or so minutes talking about what I'm watching, what I'm reading, and what I am listening to currently this week. And it works out really nicely because I make these videos about once a week, so you guys get a little look into my life. So what am I currently reading this week? We'll start right there because that's a really quick one. I finished a few books in the time that I've been talking to you, so I went back to one that I was in the middle of. I've talked about it twice here now, so I apologize. It's not a new book, but it's called The Burning White by Brent Weeks. I'm almost 50% through with it. It's about 1,000 pages, so I'm really hoping to wrap it up this week now that it's my full focus. And so hopefully next week I can be talking to you guys about a different book. I have about 4 or 5 next on the shelf to read, and those are just the ones I currently own. So I might even go out and pick up a different one and start reading that, or possibly something I've checked at my library and I'm on hold for might come in which case I tend to start those before I start books that I already own, as they have to go back to the library. So next week, hopefully you'll hear about something different, but that book is so good. I do recommend it if you like high or epic fantasy. It's really, really enjoyable. Next on my list, let's briefly talk about what I'm watching. So I last week mentioned that I had restarted watching Gilmore Girls, and that I wasn't planning on watching a ton of it, so that probably I'd be watching for about a week and then I'd be quitting and hopefully going back to watching Peaky Blinders. Well, that didn't work out. I'm in season 4 of Gilmore Girls right now, and I don't see me quitting anytime soon. So right now the plan is to finish that show and then go back to Peaky Blinders. Hopefully no one will be super, super disappointed in me, but hey, I gotta do what I'm in the mood for. And right now I'm in the mood for not having to pay attention to TV that much. So that's Gilmore Girls for you. The final thing that I talk about for my week is what I'm listening to. And this week I'm going to recommend a single song. I haven't checked anything else out by this band, so I can't tell you if they're good or not. But this song popped up in my Discovery Weekly a few weeks ago, and I've been obsessed with it ever since. So it's called Smoky Mountain Angel, and then in parentheses it says Of Doom. It's by the band Grow, is how I would say it. I might be completely wrong. It's Groh. The album is called Oscillate. I really, really like the song. It's weird. I'll start off saying that. There's this whole entire part where there's kind of just like clinking sounds, and then it ends with like a conversation in a recording studio. So if you're not into alternative indie with some electric vibes, probably not your song. Electric's not the right word. There's just, sometimes I really enjoy songs that have sounds in them. Like, I don't know why, but if a song has a cash register used in a really weird way, I'm totally there for it. So if you know any songs with cash registers in them, feel free to comment them down below. Or, you know what, any other weird kind of sounds, just let me know. I will never stop loving my folk music, my acoustic guitar, my piano, my violin, but I'm also probably going to love weird sounding songs for the rest of my life. So if you're into that, check this song out. It's really good. Highly recommend. I've been listening to it in one of my playlists on repeat for probably about a month now, and it hasn't gotten old yet. So that means give it another month and I'll probably be a little bit tired of it, but that's what music does. And then I'll forget about it for a long time and I'll come back to it in about 6 months and I'll be like, oh my God, this song is so good. Why did I ever stop listening to it? And I'll listen to it on repeat until I hate it. And that pattern will repeat for the rest of my life, as it does with all music. Anyways, we're about to wrap up the end of the video. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching again. I highly appreciate it. Please comment down below any thoughts you have on anything that I've said today, or any thoughts you have about topics you'd like to hear me talk about in the future. I would love to hear from you guys. And also like, comment, subscribe. I do these videos every Sunday. And in case you didn't watch my Wednesday video, I am doing a different series more about reading every Wednesday until the end of the year. The only exception will be the week of Christmas. I'll be releasing it on Tuesday, as Wednesday is Christmas. So check back in every Wednesday and Sunday until the end of the year, and I will have a new video for you to watch. But until then, feel free to check out some of my older videos, and know that my video for next Sunday is something I'm super hyped about, and I really think you guys will enjoy it. So again, thank you for watching. Please come back in the future. Bye for now.